So if you know me, you probably know that I am a big fan of Broadway musicals. I go to New York every year. I see like 10 shows every year. I just love them. And Kander and Ebb is one of my favorites composing teams there. You probably know Chicago, Cabaret, but also Scottsboro Boys, Zorba, Curtains. I mean, I really like these guys. But I have to admit, there's always been one of their shows that I just can't get into. Hey everybody, I'm McBride, the movie guy, and today let's talk about the movie adaptation of that Broadway musical, The Kiss of the Spider Woman.
There go the lights. It's in glorious Technicolor.
Wait, you throw us right in. We know nothing about the story or the characters.
Don't you like to dream? At least a little?
Kiss of the Spider Woman is set in Argentina in the mid-'80s. We meet two inmates in prison. One is Valentina, a political agitator, who's played by Diego Luna, and the other is Molina, who was arrested for public indecency, and he's played by an actor named Tonatia. I gotta tell you, I don't know who this Tonatia guy is. I mean, I looked up his credits. He was in Promised Land, he was in Carry On, but I really don't remember seeing him before. Man, what an auspicious debut. He is great in this movie, but we'll get more to that later on. The inmates pass the time when Molina recounts the story of his favorite movie called The Kiss of the Spider Woman. It's his way to escape the horror of his life. And as Molina tells the story, it comes to life in his imagination with Jennifer Lopez playing the leading lady in an old Hollywood glamour movie. And that is basically the story here, well, at least the surface level story here. It's the story of two guys who meet in prison and then they fall in love. And be aware of that. This is a movie with some distinct gay, queer sensibilities here. It's interesting because it doesn't seem quite as pronounced in the musical as it did in the 1985 version of this story that starred Raul Julia and William Hurt here. In that movie, the intimacy was implied. This movie, it's made more overt, but it just didn't seem to, maybe it's just not as shocking as it was back in 1985. Now, like I said, the star of the show here is not the one that I thought was going to be the star. Tonatia. Don't know really who he is, but he was amazing. I mean, it brings such nuance to this performance. He is charming. He lights up the screen. He's playing a character that has, he's somewhere on the trans spectrum, and you can totally see what he's doing, trying to survive. I just thought this was a very good performance. And look, Diego Luna, I think he's fine here. He's a little reserved for my taste here. And J-Lo, J-Lo was hired to look gorgeous and to dance, and she does that very well. She's not really asked to do a lot of acting. She does a lot of singing, but I'm not sure that I cared that much about the music in this movie. But it's Tonatia. He's the one you're going to see this movie for. He's amazing. I did also like that the movie has these distinct movie scenes. I mean, every time he starts telling the story of The Kiss of the Spider Woman, it comes to life in glorious Technicolor. The aspect ratio changes. And I also kind of appreciated that the sets, while they look like old glamour Hollywood, they kind of look like a set, they don't look real, and we wouldn't have done that today. But so I did appreciate that was kind of fun, a fun aspect of this film for me. But look, the bottom line here is, it's the music. And like I said, I love Kander and Ebb, but this is not their best work. There are no hummable songs coming out of this. And I think of, Zorba and Chicago and Cabaret and Curtains. There are several of them. These are songs that go onto my Broadway playlist. I listen to these songs all the time. Not a single one from Kiss of the Spider Woman. I went back and listened to it again to see if maybe I'm just not getting it. Yeah, I'm just not getting it. It's just, I don't think the music works, and therefore I think this movie kind of falls because the source material is just not as good as we expect from a big Broadway movie musical, even by someone as beloved as Kander and Ebb. So the bottom line for me here is, look, I always appreciate a Broadway musical being turned into a movie, so I'm going to give you that. Tonatia, I thought was wonderful. I think the rest of the cast is good. But it's that music. That is the bottom line. And if you're not a fan of this musical, and I really don't know anyone who claims to be a fan of this musical, well, then it's probably going to come across as kind of flat for you. It did for me. I give Kiss of the Spider Woman 2 stars out of 4. It's kind of interesting because this is set in Argentina in the mid-'80s. And I used to live in Argentina in the mid 80s. And no, I was not in prison at the time, but I spent several years of my life in South America, in Argentina. And this is not the Argentina I remember when I was there, but it's showbiz, it's Hollywood. I guess that's okay. But it always kind of triggers me when we go back to Argentina at the time of, Los Desaparecidos, the people that disappeared from the country there. So, because I know several people who that happened to. So. Anyway, okay, now I'm depressed. Like I said, go back to the Broadway of this all. I like Cantor a lot. I just didn't like this movie, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not getting something about this musical. If so, feel free to comment here. I'd love to learn what it is I've been missing about this musical. Of course, feel free to subscribe to my channel here so that you can always get my reviews just as soon as they come out. And check us out on our podcast, Two Movie Guys. Every week, my friend Joe Fryer and I get together. We chat about all of the week's big new movies. That's called Two Movie Guys with the number 2. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. So that is movie review number 5 of the week. And you know what? There are like 3 or 4 more. We're not going to get to all of them, but there is one more that I want to talk about. It's a theatrical release. It's a faith-based film called Soul on Fire. We'll talk about that next. See you then. Bye.